All right, let's talk about something that hits close to home for any growing accounting firm. It's this weird paradox where the more successful you become, the more it feels like you're failing. You've got more clients, more revenue, and just more chaos. So today, we're going to unpack the real structural reasons behind this and find a much better way forward.
This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? I mean, you look at the numbers and everything is pointing up, but the feeling is all wrong. Your team is totally running on fumes, every deadline is a source of anxiety, and you're spending all your time putting out fires instead of actually building your firm's future. It's the classic paradox of growth. If your team is full of talented, hardworking people, and I'm sure it is, where is all this friction coming from? Well, the answer might actually surprise you because it has way less to do with who you hire and a whole lot more to do with the system they're all working in.
Okay, so here's the big mental shift we've got to make. The problem isn't your people, it's your operating model. That traditional do-everything in-house structure, it just wasn't built to handle the sheer complexity and pace of the modern accounting world. It's kind of like trying to run brand new software on 20-year-old hardware. It's just not going to work. I mean, just think about it for a second. The old, predictable busy seasons, they're pretty much gone. We're now in this era of non-stop deadlines and regulations that seem to change every other week. And on top of that, clients expect these instant, deep insights, all while we're dealing with a massive talent shortage. The pressure is just coming from every single direction. So here's the thing. Growth doesn't really create new problems. It just shines a massive spotlight on the ones that were already hiding under the surface. It's like turning up the pressure in an old plumbing system. Suddenly, every single tiny, hidden crack becomes a major leak.
So where are these cracks in the system? Let's look at a couple of these hidden bottlenecks that are probably causing you and your team some major headaches right now, even if you're not talking about them every single day.
First up, something called the quiet bottleneck, inventory reconciliation. Now, it seems like such a small detail, right? But when your team is stretched thin, it's one of the first things that gets rushed or just put off. And look, those small errors, they can snowball into these massive problems down the line, messing with everything from financials to tax filings and audits.
Okay, so if inventory reconciliation is a quiet problem, this next one is often the loud, screaming elephant in the room that just drains everybody's energy. I'm talking about that endless back and forth over tax documentation. Does this look painfully familiar? You start the prep work, you're getting in the zone, and then bam, you hit a wall because you're missing a key document. So everything stops. A senior person on your team has to stop what they're doing to go chase the client, you wait, and then you try to get that momentum back. It's a fundamentally broken process. What a nightmare. Now, just imagine a different world, a world where all that documentation is perfectly organized and standardized before your high-value team even lays a finger on it. No more chasing clients, no more stop and start, just pure, uninterrupted workflow. The difference isn't just about efficiency. It's about sanity. So how do you get to that place, that state of workflow zen? Well, it's not about just hiring more people and throwing them into that same broken process. It takes a fundamental structural shift. It's like upgrading your firm's entire operating system. You really have two choices here. There's the old way, which is super reactive. You scramble to hire when you're already behind, sinking a ton of time and money into this long, painful onboarding process. Or there's the new way. You proactively build predictable capacity, you lower your overhead, and you get the ability to scale your team up or down on demand. And listen, this isn't just about offloading boring, tedious tasks. This is about strategically delegating the time-intensive groundwork, things like tax projections and scenario analysis, so that your senior team can do what they do best, delivering strategic, high-value advice to your most important clients. And man, when you make this kind of structural shift, the positive ripple effects, they're felt everywhere. It starts with your team, and it flows all the way through to your clients. It really changes everything. So just imagine for a moment that your back office is no longer this source of friction and headaches, but it's a powerful, well-oiled engine for growth. What's the first thing that happens internally? Your team finally gets some breathing room. They get predictability. With standardized workflows and consistent documentation, that constant firefighting just stops. They can finally shift from being reactive all the time to being proactive. And the impact that has on morale, not to mention retention, is absolutely huge. And here's the cool part. While your clients might not ever know the nitty-gritty details of your internal operations, Trust me, they will absolutely feel the results of that new stability and efficiency. Suddenly, they start getting work back faster. They get fewer of those annoying, hey, we're missing this document emails. And most importantly, because your senior team now has the bandwidth, the advice they get becomes so much more proactive and strategic. This, right here, is how you build clients for life.
Now, of course, a change like this brings up some fears. The biggest one is usually about losing control. But the surprising reality is that with well-defined, documented workflows, you actually gain more control over the final product. The fear is a drop in quality, but the reality is that standardization actually leads to higher and more consistent quality. And accountability? That always stays right where it belongs, with your firm.
All right, so let's bring it all home. The goal here is a complete transformation of how growth feels inside your firm. It's about going from that feeling of pushing a giant boulder uphill to finally actually riding a wave of real momentum. This right here is the end game. When your operating model is truly built to scale, growth becomes the asset it was always supposed to be. It fuels your firm forward instead of holding it back, and it finally starts to feel rewarding again. So, as you think about the future of your firm, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Is your current operating model an accelerator, or is it an anchor? Because the answer to that question is going to determine whether your next stage of growth is a source of freedom or just another source of friction.